Good evening, this is Bruce and welcome to my shop on this lovely Friday evening. We're heading towards summer. It's crawling though. We've had some pretty cold, in fact we've had the coldest September on record. And October was a bit wet at the beginning, but we're starting to dry up now, and looks like we'll be turning on the irrigation system soon. They're getting the ball going and so forth. Anyway, it's a Friday evening, and just a quick one of over in the welding section there. I've got a couple of items that I've made up today, and I'll just show you them. I think I've discussed it before. This a Ford Zephyr front axle system. The guy wants to put bigger disc brakes on it, so he's elected to put on Nissan brakes, and I made up, after many trials and errors, I made up a couple of plates, adapter plates that'll adapt between the axle and the brake system. So this is made up of 3 layers, and the bottom layer bolts onto the axle. Then there's a second layer to give it a gap so that it'll clear the disc, and then the third layer is the layer that's actually the unit will bolt into. There's 2 threads in here. So I've finished them. The client came along. I held them all together with a couple of screws here, with a couple of 6mm countersunk Allen screws, which are part of the connection now. I used that to do before I went to do the welding itself. So I've got the welding all done. I need a bit of clean up. Tomorrow he's going to come and pick it up and assemble it all. The other one is a guy that's made, he's changing the motor or gearbox in one of his vehicles, and he needed to make a different adapter for the crankshaft, the motor, that's right, to change the motor, to fit the crankshaft. And so I made an adapter plate for the gearbox, and what I'm doing now is I've taken the flywheel, I've machined out the guts of it, I've made up this bush. I pressed the bush in this afternoon. I've welded it in 4 places, and now it'll go back on the lathe. I'll zero it in, and I'll machine the relief that I've got to machine on this side here to suit the fit on the edge of the end of the crank, and then I will go back and bring these 8 holes that bolt to the crank. I'll bring them up to the final diameter, and then he'll have to take it away and get it balanced, and he'll be away. So that's that one. That was a bit of quick welding this afternoon. Now, this afternoon, while all this was going on, I got a call from my friend who's he has an Italian restaurant, and he's also a pasta factory. In a panic, he'd one of the nuts on his adjusting arrangement for his pasta machine had stripped out, and he'd ordered a new one from Italy, and that had arrived, and it was the wrong thread. So I said to him, look, I've got to come over and get the bolt so I can make sure that the thread's going to be the right thread. So, oh, can't you take the thread according to what's been stripped out? But there was no thread left in the nut. So this is the unit. It's got one nut on one side. You see that this is the left-hand side, and the nut on the other side's identical, but it has a right-hand thread, and this is 20mm, 2.5 pitch 20mm. So what I'm doing is I'll just bring the camera down here now so you can see. So I've set up in the in the vise both nuts. One's the new nut that came in, and that's got an Acme thread on it. This one has an Acme thread, and this is the one that was stripped out. So I'm drilling them out to a workable size. And then I'm going to use this broach to drill through, just to give it a final tickle on the diameter, and then I'll machine up a bush with a thread in it and press it into a bush for each one of these, and press it in, so you'll have a replacement and he'll have a spare. So I'm ready for Monday morning, so he can get back making his pasta. While we're at it, I'll just take the camera off. Take that out. This is my small mill that I bought 6 years ago. It's a Chinese mill, but I added onto it a DRO arrangement at the top. I've added onto it drives for the Z, drive for the X. I put in a riser block. I fitted up the slotter at the back on the tail. It is there on the tail. I made a connector plate for it. Yes, and the DRO, the whole DRO system. Now, this has been this was my main mill, and of course then I've got the big mill beside it. And my mate Fred has been looking for a mill for quite some time, and he came across one which is bigger than the small mill, and it's too big for him. So he's buying that mill, and then I'm going to be swapping him. So I'll be taking this mill out of the workshop, and I'll be bringing in the other mill, that's both of them have the same. The new mill that'll be coming out, well, it's not a new mill, it's 16 years old, but it's in very good condition. And this mill here, the small one's an ISO 30, but the big mill is an ISO 40. And so both of them will be, the mill that's coming in plus the big one, they'll both be ISO 40. So that'll cut down a little bit of my tooling, and I'll also be able to hand some of that over to Fred when he gets it out. Of course, you need to watch this spot, because we've got to get out here with this machine. This machine's got to come out through here. We've got to get it out. Got to get it around, and it's going to be a squeeze. There'll be a squeeze here, it's a squeeze all the way through. We'll have to move, a lot of stuff is going to have to move, but it's not terrible, because I've built this whole workshop around being able to move things and have plug and play. Every machine comes across and is plugged in. And so it's easy enough. They're not hardwired, and then from there we've got to go up through the waiting room, out to the front of the workshop, front of the house, and onto a truck. So it's going to be interesting, and we'll keep posted. We'll show you more.